said, I will not fail you, neither will I forsake you. That is a promise to us. And we hold on to that promise, because the moment we let that promise go is the moment that we will begin to truly feel doubting his ability to bring us forth and to bring us through as his people. And it is so.
And it is so.
It is so. Let us have another song, please. This is not our last one, but let's have another song. This fire, trusting in his Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, we have come this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far, I believe. We have come this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far, I believe. We have come this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We come this far, I believe. We have come this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far, I believe. We have come this far, I believe, leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far, I believe. We have come this far, I believe, turn around. We come this far by belief. Leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by belief. We have come this far by belief. Leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by belief. We have come this far by belief. Leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by belief. Leaning on Yahuwah, trusting in the Torah. He's never failed. Can't turn around. We've come this. And it is going to be our belief in him and his instructions that's going to take us on. We appreciate him once again. At this time, we're going to read our affirmations. Very important to keep in mind, once again, as the children of Yahshua, affirmations, and that what we live by, that what we stand upon, and that what helps us to make it throughout the Yamim, the days, so that we are able to understand that our times of study, our times of meditation, our times of private times, and whatever it is that we're doing, this is why we are investing in that what we do, because we have a purpose. And that purpose is to develop our ruach. So I want you to repeat with me at this time. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I have the life and nature.
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
That life is the Torah.
That life is the Torah
of Yahshua.
of Yahshua.
I purpose to walk in.
I purpose to walk in
the Torah of life.
the Torah of life.
Yahuwah's Torah.
Yahuwah's Torah.
Yahush.
Yahush
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge.
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's ahab.
Yahuwah's ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power.
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom.
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching
He
me.
is leading me.
He is leading me.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach.
The Ruach
HaKodesh.
HaKodesh
of Yahuwah in me.
of Yahuwah in me
is leading me.
is leading me.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Our declaration. Do ignorance.
We subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
And through this knowledge.
And through this knowledge
of Torah truth.
of Torah truth,
We claim healing.
we claim healing,
Shalom.
shalom,
Deliverance.
deliverance,
And salvation.
and salvation.
We decree
We decree
Torah truth
Torah truth
in the lives
in the lives
of your people,
of your people to fight,
not to fight
not to fight
each other,
each other,
but the enemy
but the enemy
of our belief.
of our belief.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Very important that we remember these are affirmations and this is what we stand for. It is very important that we remember these things. Torah. Young men, many of you that have been following along with the I guess what they would call the time of their the candidacy and those that are running for president. All the stuff that's going on behind this and people telling people get out there and vote. Well, I'm gonna be honest and upfront. who are you going to vote for? No, I would not encourage you to vote. And many people will say, well, you can't tell people that. Yes, I can. Yes, I most definitely can. Because if the Abba is our provider, and if he is our guide, and if he is the one that is going to take care of us, then you better be putting your belief in him. Because many people are on social media telling people who just get out there and vote. That's just like if I got 3 plates of mess. If all 3 plates are mess, I still don't have anything to choose from. And just because it's on a plate and set before me doesn't mean I have to choose either one. I have a right to not make a choice, because that's making a choice. I need to believe, our ancestors died to vote. That's a lie. Don't believe that lie. Our ancestors died because they wanted equality and they wanted freedom, and they realized they could not get it through voting. How are you going to vote for the people that had you in that position? That's ridiculous. So I'm going to go to the poll and vote for the same people that will not even talk to me about reparations, which I'm not looking for reparations from them, but just follow what I'm saying as we're making ready for the last song. Have to look to these same people that won't talk to me about putting that shot down, having Black history in the colleges and in the schools, and these are the people you want me to vote for. If they're not thinking and caring about my well-being, or even caring about my quality of life, then how do you think when you go to pull that registration or whatever it is they go to do, and you tell me that all the votes that are cast for this person are going to count? It's not going to count. They're reconnecting me. The thing that we must understand as a people, we must understand when we claim the Abba and accept his truth as being our provider and being our guide, then you must understand that's who you put your trust in. There is nobody that has spoken up about us as a people and not trying to put us in with everybody else, trying to include us in with every other nation, because they're already taken care of. It is us as a people that have been mistreated, and we understand why we've been mistreated. So we're not looking for people in that respect to give us anything, because we know that is the Abba that is going to pay us. Why? Because when we get in line, it is his desire, and it is what he's going to do when we get in line, and that is to give us back all that we lost and all that we were stripped of because of our disobedience. But what I am saying to you is that if you are not of this world, then don't respond and act like you're of this world. Yes, I know to many people, this is something that our people have been taught to do, and people have told us to do. Well, get out there and vote because your vote makes a difference. Really? No, it does not, because it is the Electoral College that chooses who they want to put into office.
That's right.
It is just you and those that have gone to vote. It is just they want to know who you want to have in office. But we never, as a people, ever have chosen the president. So I'm here to tell you and to encourage you. If you're going to vote for somebody, you better vote for Yahush. And you better vote for Abba Yahuwah, because that's the one who's going to take care of us and will continue to take care of us in and during these times. I have seen many people put posts up there. It doesn't matter. Y'all know the candidates are not worth anything. So why waste your time and even get out there? Y'all, if they're not worth voting for, then save your energy and your time. Do you not know the difference it would make that if we all said, no, we're not going to do this, because we know that when it's all said and done, that what we're supposed to get, we're not going to get it? The quality of life, because you got to understand, our quality of life does not come from man. It comes from the Abba.
That's right.
So because we're not of this world, and somebody says, well, you make it worse on other people when you don't vote. No, you do not, because whatever's going to be is going to be. And that is the truth. So I'm encouraging you, before you let somebody coerce you or force you into going and pulling that arm like you're going to go and play the slots, you better pray. And I'm not praying for you to determine whether or not you're going to vote. I am telling you and asking you to pray that the Abba covers our people, and that our people will not get lullabied and get food into believing this inclusion. It is an illusion. It is an illusion to believe that after all these years, that now, even before the presidency candidacy, that now people are going to take interest. The only reason why they take interest in us as a people now is because they want your vote. And the moment you vote for them, everything they promise you, you are not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Why? Because they understand that they can do our people at times like a yo-yo. Throw you out, then reel you back in. So yes, I am saying this. I'm saying it boldly, and I'm saying it openly. Don't let people coerce you and push you into voting. Yo, we're not of this we're not of this generation and of this mindset. Well, we need them. We need to vote because they'll make things better. I told someone a while back, voting has never done anything for us as a people. Right. And you got to understand, if someone tells you, yes, it has, because I was able to get this. Okay, let's talk about us as a people on a larger scale. Not because you have voted and you got something out of it. No, that's not it. It's about us as a people getting something out of it. As a nation, one or two people, that's not enough. It is about the nation getting this. And the only way we're going to get that is that we must repent and turn back to the Abba. Because he is the only one that can change our destiny. He's the only one that can change us as a people. He's the only one. So I am telling you, it is really time, if you've not done it, to pray and set our hearts towards the Abba. Because if you go out there and you make that choice and you empower the enemy, then you're going to have to live with that. Many people say, well, if you ain't doing anything to make a change, then what can you say? I am doing something to make a change. And that is to encourage our people to believe and trust in the Abba with all your heart. The populace. Because in the end, we have to live with our choices. And I don't know about you, but I am content with my choice to believe in the Abba, regardless of what and how the outcome comes, because I know he will never leave us, neither will he forsake us. He never has and he never will. So I am telling you and encouraging you, keep your head up and remain committed to his instructions for your life. And don't expect other nations to do what you're doing. Right. Because you got to remember, the instructions were given unto us as a people, not to another nation. Right. And if we don't follow that, we're going to find ourselves being just as Yaakov said, in the English, James, being double-minded. And a double-minded man is unstable in all his or her ways. It is so important that we remember the Abba gave us a code of conduct. And that code of conduct is to stand, and having done all to stand therefore with our loins girded about with his truth. That is what we stand for. And if you're going to die for something, die for truth. Right. But he would prefer that we live, because by living, we can continue to show the nations that we are his people. And that we will not digress, and we will not stop doing what we are called and chosen to do. And that is to serve him, and that is to live according to his instructions for our lives. That's to encourage you. Don't let these people out here bully you into believing that if you don't, you do your people a disservice. If you do, that's the biggest disservice you can do to our people, is go and vote when you know there is no candidate to vote for. So I encourage you, and it is so. And it is so. It is so. We're going to have our final song at this time, and it is so. And it is so.
Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything let everything that has breath yeah, 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 yeah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah.
Let us bow before our King and let us recite this together. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. You may be seated in his presence. Once again, we appreciate the Abba for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. In this time, once again, I pray that your Shabbat has been going well, and it will continue to get better as we continue to dive into this, our time of teaching. Once again, we want to turn our attention to Revelation chapter 13, which is our foundational chapter. But we are continuing from chapter 14 of Yashayahu. I want you to have that chapter open, chapter 13 open, because while we're going over what we're going over, I want you to constantly visualize verses 1, and we're not going to go to 2 just yet, but verse 1. Why? Because we are establishing evidence and proof to build our case on who or what the beast is. It is very important that we take a look at these things. Very important at different angles. Now, once again, on last week, we appreciate the Abba for all that he's doing, has kept us through the storms, has kept us through the different things in our lives. And it's important and not allow ourselves and our conduct to go beneath the conduct that is expected of us from the Abba. We know a lot of things are going on. We know, once again, with the race for the presidency taking place and so many other things that are Muslims, which is another major tick on the clock. So there are a lot of things going on. And then with the cases of the COVID virus escalating, and there are so many things that are taking place, and that if we're not grounded, we will find ourselves being pulled in many directions. And so it is important that the first thing we do is ground ourselves in our relationship with the Abba through his son, Yahush, our Mashiach. The second thing that is very vital to our relationship is that we build a relationship with the Ruach HaKodesh through Yahush. And this is important because through this, we will be able to walk in a greater understanding, because without Yahush, we have no understanding of things that are and things that are to come. There are a lot of things that now the Abba is coming in, and he is revealing, he is dismantling, and he is uncovering, and he is really destroying a lot of beliefs that we had, and a lot of things that we believed in. He is truly coming in and bringing truth in place of error. As we've been looking at also, I want you to look at also Yashaya chapter 14. Let's look at that as well. Why is it important that we look at this? Because we need to establish people in the writings. For many years, I know, especially when I was in Christianity, Helel, son of the morning, which we come to understand, Helel ben Shachar, is truly a king, and he was a king of Babylon. And so, but for many years, walking in Christianity, we were made to believe that this was a fallen angel that was spoken of. And if you were with us on last week, you see that we came through some things, and we uncovered some things that this is not so. So we're going to pick up from there and want to show you in the writings, and just show you some of the things that Roman Catholicism and those that got their hands on the writings went in, manipulated, and translated the real or the original writings in Latin. And so they removed a lot. Was a fallen angel. So we're going to pick up from there. And when we get ready to pick up from there, I want you to turn your attention to Ayah 1 and 6. I'm going to read that. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to read from a paragraph, so it'll help us to come up to where we are. Talking about the problem here, and that problem is understanding the name. The word Lucifer came from the Latin lux, meaning light, and phara, to bear or bring, hence light bringer. But there is no scriptural justification for an arbitrary personification of that translated word, Lucifer, because many of the translations in the writings or in your Bible said that Lucifer was the star of the morning. So we want to clear up that so that we can get to the bottom of this and understand once again where Babylon is, and if Babylon really is a place, and it is not America. It is not the US of A, and it is not New York. It is not in these places, but it does have significance, and it is a geographical place. Now, the problem encountered here is, in spite of the traditional theology handed down through hundreds of generations, as a result of this arbitrary translation and promoted as truth, it cannot be stated enough that contains no character named Lucifer. So once again, we are here to clear up this misunderstanding, so people will come to understand in Yashaya chapter 14 that Yashaya is not speaking of a fallen angel, but he is speaking of a fallen king. And that king's name was Helel ben Shachar. Now, Yashaya had never heard of such a being, nor had the apostles of Yahush day, or even Yahush himself, which we know Yahush knew of the lie. So I'm just going to interject that, okay? We knew he knew because he knows all things. Are y'all phones? All right. Lucifer, characterized as a persona who is a manifestation of the devil, is a much later intervention. There is no association between Helel ben Shachar of Yashaya 14 and 12 and Shaitan. The proper name Lucifer does not find it to any translation until Jerome's time, some 150 years after the influence of the writings of the earlier Catholic theologians Tertullian, 160 to 230 CE, and Origen, 185 to 254 CE, who have begun to symbolically read Satan into the story of the king of Babylon in Yasha'yah 4. However, if read in its proper context, the prophet Isaiah or Yasha'yah is taunting a man. He is taunting a man. I said it before. If you have ever seen Shaka Zulu, if you've ever seen that and you saw their original way of fighting was taunting one another with songs. But Shaka said, no, if we're going to gain ground and we're going to do anything, then our taunting has got to lead to some kind of physical engaging. Because if we never do this, it's just going to be something we do all the time, and we're never going to be provoked to do anything different. But you got to understand their taunting and that song was to provoke them to engage physically. It's just they never got to that point. You ever remember being in school, and many of us know that if you ever wanted to have a good old fight, you talk about somebody's mama. You taunt them about their mama. You could talk about them. You could say they black as the moon. You could say they fat. You could say they ugly. You could say they stink. You could say whatever you wanted. But the moment you brought somebody's mama in, that was their taunt. But the taunt was to provoke them to either engage or to surrender. But that taunt was to bring them to a level of change. And so this is why it is important that we understand this that is taking place. Are y'all following me?
Okay.
All right. Now, the king of Babylon in power at the time, in the poetic and figurative language of the Hebrews, a star signifies an illustrious king or prince. The monarch here referred to having surpassed all other kings in royal splendor, as compared to the harbinger of Yamim, whose brilliancy surpasses that of surrounding stars. And this can be found in a Encyclopedia of Biblical Literature, John Keto, ed. 3rd, ed. J.B. Lipcott and Company, Philadelphia, 1866. While there are those who claim that the real entity symbolically addressed in this passage is the persona of Shaitan, there is no scriptural evidence to support this theory. Of us that will be exposed to it, I'm telling you to hold on to your seat, because there will be a lot of things that will be brought to the forefront that's going to go against the way we've been taught for years. It's going to go against the grain. And you must understand, I said it and I will continue to say it. The King James Bible was created for Roman Catholics and for Christianity, but the Hebrew writings are the original. This is where they got all of their information from. And they rearranged and rewrote it because they wanted it to fit their agenda. So there'll be things that we will be exposed to that we've got to be ready to hold on to and not let go because of fear. Well, if this has been wrong and I've been doing this, how do I know this is right? That's the first thing that comes up. Well, if that was wrong, then how do I know this is right? Because you got to understand, he said that if we seek him, we shall find him. And if we knock, it shall be opened. So it's important that we understand he's not going to bring us into. So it's important that we definitely understand these things. It is crucial and critical to our way of life. Are y'all following? All right. Now, once again, it is important that we understand that this is a man. Now, Yasha'yah, then why would he call him a fallen man? You have to understand, he's not a fallen angel. He is a man. He was flesh and blood. Are y'all following me? All right. Now, and in Yasha'yah 14 and 18, which is Isaiah, all the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own tomb. But you cast out, clear reference to a man, the king of a nation, not an archangel. Not an archangel. Cast down meaning you were brought low. At the time, he was still being in the tomb, but he being in a position that he didn't regard. And he had to be stricken from that. Now, it's important that we understand, once again, there is yet another reason why it makes no sense to read the devil into Isaiah or Yasha'yah chapter 14. The primary definition of the Hebrew word Satan in the original writing means surprise, adversary, or oppose, not devil. In spite of the current culture we live in, there is a difference between an opposing force and warfare. See, because a person can oppose you without warring with you. They can oppose you all day long without warring with you. But a person that wars with you is eventually that thing is going to escalate and it's going to become physical. Are you hearing me? Someone can oppose you verbally. Someone can oppose you in many different ways, but warfare is different. That's a different type of tactic. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
So it's important that we understand that. Now, an adversarial force can simply be illustrated in the inability to bring two ends of a magnet together. So if I oppose you, if you've ever had magnets, and when we were children, we would take two magnets and we would turn them and we try to force them together, and then it would flip and the other side would stick to it. But when you were trying to take the magnetized part and you're trying to push them together because you're trying to make them stick, they oppose one another. Why? Because the energy from both sides that are positive are going to reflect one another. They're going to constantly fight one another. But then it'll flip and it'll get the back part and it'll stick. So you got to understand that's opposing. That's opposing. So it's important to us to understand the difference. Very important for us to understand the difference between those. So when the angel of Yahuwah in Numbers 22 and 22, does that mean Yahuwah took on the persona of an evil? So it's important that we understand this as well. That's a question to remember. I'm just going to put that out there like that. Okay? All right. Now, let us look at, once again, I told you, Ayab, which is Job 1 and 16. Because remember, Abba Yahuwah needs no one to do anything for him. He can do what he needs to do all by himself. Are y'all following me? All right, let's look at Ayab, which is in the English, Job 1 and 6. And we have a sentence. So, all right, let's read it, please.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of power fell from Shemaiah, and has burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you.
That's 1 and 6?
1 and 6, I'm sorry, 1 and 6.
1 and 6.
Now there was a day when the sons of power came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and Shatan came also among them. And it is so.
And it is so. Now let's look at this. Now remember, in the writings it also tells us that no evil will be able to, no light will be able to, no darkness will be able to stand in the presence of light.
Sure.
Now, which change an actionable verb into a noun, thus rendering it a persona. One has to ask, if light and darkness cannot abide in the same space at the same time, then how did he, Shaitan, get there among these sons of light? We must remember there are no capitalizations used in the Hebrew language. So the question is, how did he get there? That's another thing to think about. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
Another thing to think about. Once again, you have to understand the Abba is all powerful, and he needs, notice that Shemayim, the place where Yahuwah's throne is located, is within or among the children of Yahuwah. Let's look at Luke chapter 17, verses 20 and 22. And someone get Matiku 5 and 34. Once again, that is Luke, which we also know as Luke chapter 17, verses 20 and 22, or through 22, and Matthew 5 and 34. As I said before, understand something. There is new evidence and there is new proof to show us that something they have had the greatest influence up until now when it comes to biblical prophecy, when it comes to knowing certain things. They have held the keys, but now the Abba has given those keys. What do you think is in the bottom in that vault under the Vatican? They say that runs something like 5 miles. It's a 5-mile, I believe 5 miles or something up under the Vatican that holds all type of artifacts, books, and everything. I would just a hob to get in there. No, I would need about a month to get in there and go through that stuff. Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's in there that we could use and would be of great value to us when it comes to information. Are y'all following me? Very important for us to understand. Now, once again, let's look at Luke chapter 17, verses 20 and 22. Who has that for me? All right, read that for me. Verses 20 through 22, I'm sorry.
Luke chapter 17, verses 20 to 22. Coming from the NIV readings. Once having been asked by the Pharisees when the kingdom of power would come, Yahushua replied, "The kingdom of power does not come with careful observation, nor will people say, 'Here it is,' or 'There it is,' because the kingdom of Yahuwah is within you." Then he said to his disciples, "The time is coming when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of the Man when you will long to see the days of the Son of Man, but you will not see it." And it is so.
Nor shall they say, "Look here," or "Look there," for look, the reign of Yahuwah is in your midst. He said to the pupils, "Yamim shall come when you shall long to see one of the Yamim of the son of Hadam, but you shall not see it." Once again, it's important for us to understand it is not a place that someone can come in and take over a seat, but it's on the inside of us. Are y'all following me? It's important that we understand many people that disregard the renewed covenant are without all of the information and without the proof and the evidence that the Mashiach is very important, and the renewed covenant and the history and all of the writings that follow with it are important for us to have. But without them, where is your roadmap?
None.
What are you using to be able to understand the times and the seasons? What are we using? That's important for us to understand. Are y'all following me?
None.
All right, let's look at Matit Yahu chapter 5, verses 34. All right, read that for me.
5 and 34
Yes.
reads, "But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by Shemaim, for it is Yahuwah's throne." And it is so.
Okay, come on, read 35 because that goes with it too.
"Nor by the Eretz, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king."
Mhm.
And it is so.
Keep reading till you get your period.
"Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou cannot make one hair white or black." It's a period for them.
It's a period after black.
Yes.
Okay, that's where we stop.
Mhm.
Whenever you see colons, semicolons, commas, that means one thought, and that's important that we read all of it. That way, you can get the gist of what's being stated at that time. So it reads once again in 5 and 34. It says, "But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by Shemaim, because it is power's throne, nor by the Eretz, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great sovereign, nor swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black." Now he says that. Now listen what he does say. Let's go to Debiram chapter 6. Let me show you something.
And it is so.
Verse 13. What does verse 13 say? It says, "Fear Yahuwah your power and serve him, and swear by his name." See, the reason why this was put into place, because so many times people say, "Well, we ain't supposed to swear at all." You see what it says? "But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by Shemayim, because it is power's throne." The reason he told them not to swear, especially in that time, because when you put Yahuwah's name in it, that finalized it. And if you were going to do it, you had to do it right, because I have just put this out here. But if they did, they couldn't use any other means, because that was not covenant. Any other means meant, well, I could slip through the cracks. But if you did it, you had to do it according to the way it was said to be done, and that was by his name. Are y'all following me? Because they knew if you said his name and invoked his name in it, then you knew you better not break it, because if you break it, the consequences of breaking it is death. It is death. So it is important that we understand a lot of things that we read. Even if we don't read it with understanding, we'll find ourselves saying, well, something is wrong, because that's there's some hypocrisy in here. There's some, if we're supposed to do it, if we're not supposed to do it. If you do it, you have to do it the right way. I would not suggest do it, because if you break it, you put yourself in a place of condemnation and also the possibility of death. Are y'all following me? All right. Now we must conclude that when the scripture says he came among the sons of Yahuwah, if the force of opposition is against the words of Yahuwah, then he must have arrived as a force within the assembly that accuses the brethren. Now, once again, even then, we only find the word or the Hebrew word shaitan in the first two Yabs or Ayab's 42 chapters. It is important when reading these passages to keep in mind the text of the original writings did not teach or did not reach their final version until after the Babylonian exile. Now, they didn't reach their final version until after the Babylonian exile. And we know when they were in Babylonia, there was a lot of things that transpired and changed during that time. Right. Just like now, we are in a place of our enemies, and a lot of things about our people and about us changed. And it changed in the upper echelon, and we just caught that which trickled down. Our people got into Christianity, and guess what? It passed on to us. Many of our people got into a lot of things, but whatever they got into, it passed down to us. Why? Because that's what they taught us. That's what they integrated into us. And we see that it is heavily integrated into us when it comes down to understanding certain things. Even as I said in the beginning, when you talk about voting, the first thing our people do is run up there. Well, our people, they fought this. Even when you talk about school, many times you go to school, but you got to understand who orchestrated these schools, who put these schools together, and what is it that you're learning. Our people had to teach. Our people had to teach each other. We had to be taught skills. We weren't taught some of the stuff they did. And when they start talking about segregating and talking about integrating, and let's put all of our people together, let's get together, let's start teaching them. When they started talking about schooling us and teaching us, that's when our people that they got. Now, I know people are sticklers for going to college, and people go to college, and I'm not against you going to college, but what I am against is, what are you learning? What skills are you being taught that you can bring back to the community, and we build community without the influence of other nations? Are y'all hearing me? Because when you go, what are they teaching you about you? Right. What are they giving you to take back to your people, to instruct your people to be prosperous and to be able to move beyond that what they have expected us or their expectation of us? People go to college for years just to learn what they have put together for you to learn. I'm not against education, but I'm against wrong education. I am against that glorifies them in their deeds and what they've done. I am against that completely. If we're going to learn, let's learn about our people. Let's learn about powernomics. Are y'all hearing me? Yes. What is it? White labor, black labor. And we still ain't got anything from it. If we're going to learn, let's learn skills. Let's teach our people how to work on farms. Let's teach our people how to build. Because see, that's why when they get here, you don't hardly see no Mexicans in school. I'm serious, you don't. You don't hardly see a bunch of them Chinese in school. You know why? They teach them and they teach them how to have a skill, how to have a trade, so that when they go back into their communities and back to their people, guess what? They know what to invest in, because guess what? They've been invested in to bring back all of that to their people. We work for any and everybody but for ourselves. And y'all know it's the truth. I'm not against education, but I am against education that treats us or teaches us to be inferior to other people. That teaches us that unless we know their skills and have their skills, we can't have jobs, which we don't need jobs. We need businesses, not jobs, businesses. Are y'all following me? And so I don't oppose education. I oppose the type of education. When you've been educated to believe that you were nothing and nobody. And we go and sometimes, like I say, 3 and 4 years in college. And people say, but if I learn how they do it, then I could do. That is the most ridiculous thing. And I don't mean to be mean or to offend anybody, but you have to understand, if I'm going to win something, I can't come in and learn how you do because I'm only doing what you have showed me how to do. So I'm going to end up playing the way you play, and I'm going to end up either losing losing against you because you're only going to give me so much. But when you come to understand, okay, and one of the key things, I'm going to use law for example. Many times people say, well, I'm going to become a lawyer because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a lawyer because I wanted to help those that were helpless. Well, the moment you take that bar exam and you pass it, you must understand something. You become their paid agent. And if you go against that, they will disbar you. In other words, they will strip you of your license and you will never be able to practice anywhere. That's what they do. So many times the illusion and the issue is that we believe that if we learn their way, then we can either get in with them, give you everything. They're going to leave some stuff out. So when you learn these certain things and you learn the tricks of the trade and you learn how to defend yourself, then you're going to go in there with stuff they're not going to think about taking in there. Because you got to understand, you represent yourself. For ourselves. That's why lawyers were created black folk, because they felt like we couldn't represent ourselves, so they had to put somebody in place to speak for us. Because remember, we were ignorant, we were stupid. That's what they said we were, but we are nowhere near stupid and ignorant. We are a very wise people when we walk in truth. Now, I will say this: if you're not walking in truth, then you are ignorant. You're ignorant of the fact that you are losing out on one of the greatest things that anybody can ever experience right there. Very important. All right, now, as we read, even then, we only find the Hebrew word Shaitan in the first two Ayah's 42 chapters. It is important when reading these passages to keep this exile. There was no evidence in Hebrew scripture of Shaitan as an entity, only a force that opposes Yahuwah. And even after the exile, Shaitan portrayed as an entity is still doubtful. Though the story of Ayah is very old, it is in its final version is dated after the exile, after the Hebrews came into contact with the dualistic Zoroastrian religion with its God of good and its God of evil, prominently worshipped in Babylon at the time. So once again, you got to remember, many things our people sell it because it can be tossed with their religion, with its good, with its God of good, and its God of evil, prominently worshipped in Babylon at the time. And one of the things that I have found looking at our people is that we are like sponges. We will absorb and pick up other stuff from other people and other religions. But when it comes to our way, we sometimes have an issue. Shaitan means adversary, has become associated with the persona called Satan, is because this Hebrew word, which means devil, then assumed to arise a persona. But the Hebrew word Shaitan is never found to be an entity. Once again, I'm going to read that again. The reason this transliterated word, Shaitan, that means adversary, became associated with the persona called Shaitan is because this Hebrew word was translated using the Greek word diabolos, which means devil, then assumed to characterize a persona. But the Hebrew word Shaitan or Satan is never found to be an entity. Here again, we find the theological influence of the translators overriding the original word or the original Hebrew perspective to support a replacement theology. A replacement theology. So this was a word to replace. Are you following me? You replace words, you replace certain things, guess what happens? You change the course. You change the meaning. And for years, we have been made to believe that this is a fallen angel. And it is not. It is a man. Clearly. Are y'all following me? In Hebrew, however, the word Shaitan is projected as an opposing force with all of the following meanings: divide, set at odds with, accuse, slander, reject, deceive, oppose, be adversarial, but not once is it distinguished as a persona. The Hebrew word Shaitan or Satan exposes the principal strategy of evil, a force of determined opposition to the words of Yahuwah, which at their core is found the thread of selflessness or selflessness. Now I'm gonna read that again because this is important for us to understand that when we walk in this place, we are actually acting as an opposing force with the Abba when we don't listen. All right, now once again, a force of determined opposition to the words of Yahuwah, which at their core is found the thread of selflessness, looking upon the issues of the brethren as being more important than my own. Let's look at Philippians 2 and 4. And then somebody get Luke 9 and 23. And let's get Shema 2 and chapter 2. And this is, chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Yes. Let's do a little walking thing. All right. Let's look at Philippians 2 and 4. All right. Let's read that, please.
Philippians 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Look not every man.
That again for me. Philippians 2 and 4.
Philippians 2 and 4 reads, Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
All right. It also reads, each one should look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. That means we ought to not be selfish. We shouldn't wait for somebody to come up and say, you know what, right now I could use some help. Can somebody help me? We ought to have an open, in the Ibram community policy, that we have a vacuum. In other words, a revolving. I like to have my stuff, I like to have my eggs in place, my ducats in order, because you don't want to have to. But it should never be to the point that we don't want to because we don't want somebody to tell us no. Are you hearing me? But we should have it to where we're always checking in on one another, knowing what's going on with one another, so that if that's what we are supposed to be able to do. But most of the time we can't do that. Are y'all following me? All right, Luke 9 and 23. All right. Let's read that.
Then he said to them all, if anyone wants to come with me, he must deny himself, take up his stake daily, and follow me. And then it's all.
All right. And he said to them all, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. This is when you come to a place and you move forward. And it's not about you, but it's about your Ak and your Cody. Now just think if we all did that. If I'm running behind this Cody to make sure she's okay, and she running behind somebody, and somebody's running behind me, and somebody there would be no needs because we're all running to help one another. Y'all follow me? We all helping one another, so there would be no need for many of us, having to sometime go and say, I need some help, and if I just need to get some help. And I need somebody right now to help me, or what we'll do on less good. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have nothing in me, because if I can help, I'll help. But with us as a community that take money, ask for help through this. Most of the time, you need all the money, and they come in and take out. I don't care if it's 2 cents. That 2 cents is needed. So when we have to go through these extremes, we end up losing. God, I don't care if you do have to order. Somebody said, I ain't got no food. Well, I tell you what, we got some dry goods. We can ship it to you. Just be ready to receive it. Well, hey, we got this. I don't have no, I need to wash some clothes. Don't worry about it. We got it. We can ship it to you. We should have something to where we can help one another, no matter what it is.
That's right.
We ought to have these things in place as a people, so we don't have to, be worried about going through this and then ready to fight folk because they didn't took some of your money. Like, now I'm still back where I started because I don't have enough. Are y'all following? All right, let's look at Shema chapter 20, and let's look at verses 1 through 17. Let everybody read 2 verses. Read it loud for me, please. All right, starting at verse 1. Okay, come on.
20, verse 1.
1 through 17. Let's read two verses, please.
Yahuwah spoke all these words, saying, I am the master, your Yahuwah, who brought you out of the land of Mithraim, the house of bondage.
Okay.
You shall have no other mighty ones before me.
All right. And it is so. And it is so. All right. I need someone to read 4 and 5.
You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mind beneath the earth. You shall not bow down unto them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the Avos upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. And it is so.
Mhm.
We're showing kindness to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not swear falsely by the name
Yes, yeah.
You shall not swear falsely by the name of Yahuwah your power, for Yahuwah will not clear one who swears falsely by his name. And it is so.
And it is so. All right. Let's read.
Remember the Shabbat day to keep it set apart. 6 days you shall labor and do all thy work.
Mm-hmm.
But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah. Of Yahuwah your power, thou shalt Yahuwah your power in it. Thou shalt not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your cattle, nor any stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made Shemayim and earth and the Mayim, and all in them, and all that in them is rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahuwah Baruch the Shabbat day and set apart.
And it is so. All right. Cool. 12 and 13.
12 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
Esteem your Abba and your Ema, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahuwah your power gives you. You shall not kill. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, let's just read it. 14 and 15. Mm-hmm.
do not commit adultery, do not steal.
And it is so. And it is so. Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's bed. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's Isha, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. And it is so.
And it is so. Clearly showing us what we are not to do. All right, now. And Yahush exposed that evil proceeds out of the heart of men, not some mystical, ethereal person. I think this ethereal persona. that we can blame for all of our missteps. Now, in other words, it is important. If anybody knew, probably Flip Wilson was when I was a little girl. So I know some of us don't know anything about Flip Wilson, but he had a gimmick or a show that he would do. The devil made me do it. And every time it was this little church lady or whatever, we went around talking about the devil made me do it. Many times we have taken on that and we have said, well, the devil made me do this. I was tempted. Well, the writings tell us we are enticed and tempted by our own what? Lust. You know what lust is? Lust is a strong, abnormal desire for something. And it comes from where? Out of your heart. That comes from out of your heart. Nobody can make you want something that's not there.
That's right.
Nobody can make me, take something or eat something or drink something that I don't want. That's out of my heart. If I take it and I drink it, it's because I want it. If I eat it, it's because I want it. If I say it, it's because I want to say it. If I refrain, it's because I want to refrain. Y'all follow me? This is why it's important for us to understand certain things, because we go around believing something made me do it. That something is you. Nobody else. That something is you. That something is me. That is why when we come into truth, we must maintain the Torah, and we must maintain that consistency. Remember when it tells us, and Yahushua the son of Nun, verse 8, don't let the Torah, don't let it out of your mouth, and also meditate upon it. Why? Because these are the things that condition the heart to be ready to react and respond to the things of the Abba. The Torah is powerful, and we've got to allow it to do what the Abba gave for it to do, and that's instruct us, guide us, make us. That's important to understand, because so many times we go around thinking, well, something made me do it. That something is you. That's on your own heart. Something, I don't know. Something made me go and cut their tires. No, you did it because you was angry with them. Something made me go off on them. You went off on them because you were angry with them. That something is your heart. Are y'all following me? Yeah. It's important that we understand that. Yahush's life is a testimony of the triumph of Yahuwah's power through submission. The power of weakness made manifest through the choices involved is not seeking an individual's will in Philippians chapter 2, verse 4. Now, it's important for us to understand the force of evil is found in the self-determination of men, which is in opposition to selflessness. Once again, I'm going to read that again. The force of evil is found in the self-determination of men. Self-determination of men, which is in opposition to selflessness. So that means when you are a self-determined person, and it's going to oppose selflessness. I'm self-determined. I don't need nobody's help. I don't want nobody's help. And guess what? You ain't going to help nobody, and you don't want to help nobody. That's just the blatant truth. Because when you are self-determined, I understand when we say self-determined means not because I am going to do this. And even when we get up and do stuff, I make jewelry. I just got into really getting my business off the ground and influence, and I had help. I have someone that's helping take pictures. I have someone that's doing that. So it is not just me alone. I have help. Because in doing so, I'm helping them and they're helping me. Self-determination, when it is selfish and it's all about me and nobody else, that is reckless, and that can destroy people. Are y'all following me? Yeah. So it's important that we understand that being self-determined sometimes can really destroy a person when you don't want anybody's help and you don't want to help anybody. Are y'all following me? That's important to understand, because it's going to oppose selflessness. Are y'all hearing me? That's important for us to understand. All right. The force of evil is the attempt to manipulate control over circumstances by resisting on individual rights. To engage in activity that stands in opposition to the words of Yahuwah is to participate in the construct of the force of evil. Wherever opposition to Yahuwah's purpose arises, there is always shaitan. Let's look at Yaakov 3:16, which in the English is James 3:16. Is the great found in Shema chapter 20. Then whatever force opposes that greatness is considered evil. So we are told to keep the Sabbath and someone says don't keep it. If we're told to esteem our parents and someone tells us not to, they're opposing what? The instructions of the Abba. And that is considered what? Evil. Are y'all hearing me? We got to understand the definition and know and put the right visuals and also definition to the word evil. You know, because people say, oh, they were evil because they did this to that person. They were evil because they did this and did that to that person. Are y'all following me? All right. Let's look at once again. I tell you, look at. I'm sorry. 3:16. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. I missed my place. Read that one.
For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. And it is so.
And so read that again.
For where envying and strife is,
This. I'm gonna start at verse 13. Who is wise and understanding among you? That's a question. Let him show by his great behavior his works and meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy, self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth. Now you see how that works hand in hand? Self-seeking and bitter jealousy. Is one thing to be jealous, but to be bitter, have bitterness with your jealousy? Oh my goodness. Do not boast against and lie against the truth. Do not boast against it and do not lie against the truth. Now listen what he says. This is not the wisdom coming down from above, but it is earthly, sensual, demonic. For where jealousy and self-seeking are, there is confusion and every foul deed. Because it's all things come from self, from the heart. These things come from the heart. Nobody makes you do these things. Nobody makes you lie on somebody.
That's right.
Nobody makes you fabricate the same thing as a lie about somebody. That's something that's in your heart. Are you hearing me?
Fine.
That's what somebody does. Are you following me?
God.
And so it is important for us to understand these things. You know, okay. In other words, also, you're in a situation and somebody makes you angry. You know, you can get angry, but sin not. Somebody makes you so angry to the point that you're ready to get back at them. And you start listening to yourself. And then the first thing you say is, that devil told me to go and bust that window out. The devil didn't tell you to do that. You did that because you were angry with them and you wanted to get back at them. That's a fit of rage. That's the heat of passion. I'm so angry with them that I'm going to get back with them no matter what I do. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them. Somebody breaks your heart. Guess what you want to do? You want to get back at them and break their heart. Somebody makes you angry. Somebody tells you something in private. And because they divulge something you told them, you're so angry with them that you want to do the same thing. You know, tit for tat. And I'm going to do it. So that devil, something told me. No, you told you to do it. Because you were angry. Are y'all following me? It's important that we understand these things. Once again, if you were ever in Christianity for any amount of time, you know what I'm saying to you is not a lie. Even if you were on the outside of Christianity, you've heard some of these things. It's the devil. Don't let the devil in your brain. No. Submit yourself to the Abba. Submit yourself to him. If you submit,